When I come to walk a walk, I had me coat and knee pit sock. Knew was getting 2 and 3, walk a pit's done well for me. Bike a hill and walk ashore, call your lads forevermore. Bike a hill and walk ashore, call your lads forevermore. Hiya, this is Geordie Fraser's Geordie Frasers. Now, in our previous videos, we've had a look at the origins of Geordie and Northumbrian. We've looked at the Angles and the Vikings and the Norman and the Dutch influence. And, we've even looked at the days when we used to be Welsh. In this one, we're going to have a look at the relationship between place names and dialect, looking at Haughs and Yuffs and Yuffs and whacks and all that kind of thing. And we'll also have a little bit of bead, and just to cheer up, we'll have a look at some we'll have a little bit of a death poem, a little bit of death. Anyway, whack. Now, I mentioned dialect is also closely related to place names. Now, you might remember that there was a comedian from many years ago, Bobby Thompson, used to say, "I cannot whack, let alone whack." Whack. It's one of those plays on words where you get different meanings from a word that's pronounced exactly the same way. Walk, to work, or to walk. And if you look at place names, there's a place name Walk. There's a walk or whack on Tweed, and there's a whack on Tyne, and there's Warkworth on the River Coquet near Amble, near the coast with its famous castle. And that's a clue. All of those three places have had at some stage castles, earthworks. So that's where the land has been worked into a mound and you get a castle, whack. So there's an example of a dialect word that also appears in place names. Haughs and Yuffs. And you get a huff. Very common in Northumberland and the northern parts of Durham. For example, in Durham City, there's the Smithy Haughs, which is the old race course on the riverside there. You've got these flat riverside land, and that's what Huff means, or Hoff. It's a place alongside a river, not to be confused with a Yuff. There's a few Yuffs in the region. There's a Tynemouth Castle and Priory are on a headland, a promontory called a Yuff. Hartlepool Headland is a Yuff. A Yuff can be a promontory, a hill spur. It can be not necessarily on the coast. There's like Segerston Yuff, which is Sacriston in County Durham. A Yuff is a promontory, usually a spur-shaped hill, but often it can appear on the coast as well as inland. So never confuse a Yuff with a Huff, or a Huff, which I can't even pronounce it myself. Red Yuff, or is it a Huff? Probably the best known Yuff in the region is Red Yuff, and there's a bit of a debate that Red Yuff might actually be a Huff. Red Yuff is supposed to mean the red hill spur. There's not exactly a very prominent hill spur there, and I can't see any sign that it's red in any way, but that's what it's supposed to mean, the red coloured hill spur. But there's been another theory that it's actually a Huff, the red flat, not the red flat riverside land, but the reedy flat riverside land where reeds grew. So is the Red Yuff a Huff or a Yuff? I don't know, but it's an interesting little debate that you can have there regarding Yuffs and Huffs, or Hoffs. I didn't have any idea. Anyway, there's an example of a place name feature that's also a dialect feature. Blakehope Burnhoff versus Cotton's Hope Burnfoot. Away the lads, knee hope. There is a place, if I can find it, if you just bear with me, I'm absolutely hopeless. I'm not at all organised here, but there is a place in Northumberland. I'm not going to fit it on here. It's called Blakehope Burnhoff. Blakehope Burnhoff. Which means Black Valley String with Flat Riverside Land, Blakehope Burnhoff. Obvious, isn't it? Really, really obvious. Apparently, it's the longest place name in England. It's got 18 letters. It's in Northumberland. It's in Redesdale. Years ago, I used to do a little piece for the Northern Echo called "Why Is It Called?" And that was basically explaining the origin of Northeast place names. And what I used to do is some of the guys in the photography department would take little photographs of the signpost and they would put it into the newspaper, and there'd be a little explanation underneath. It was just a little filler. And it was good fun to do. And one day I drove up to Blakehope Burnhoff to take a photograph of the signpost, and I got lost, couldn't find the place. couldn't find a signpost, and I thought I was going to give up. I remember it was snowing, it was the middle of July, and it was freezing, and I thought, hey, I give up, I'm not going to get a photograph of this. So just at that moment, this guy appeared on the horizon with a whole load of dogs, and I thought, he might know. I'll ask him what he thinks. Anyway, he got closer to us, and I said to him, excuse me. And I thought, oh, this is going to sound ridiculous, because it's Northumberland, you see. If you didn't pronounce the place name correctly, you're in trouble. You try going to Blythe and saying, excuse me, can you direct me to Cambois? No, sorry, never heard of it, sorry. Or going to Morpeth and looking for a village called Ulgam. Excuse me, can you direct me to Ulgam? It's Uffam, and not Cambois, it's Camus. So you there's a lot of pitfalls with Northumbrian place names, Bellingham, Bellingham, it's actually called, and so on. So anyway, I digress. So I thought, I'm going to be tactful. I'm going to say, I've got an idea. So I said to the guy, I said, excuse me, I'm looking for this place, and it's very, very long, and it begins with B. And I think he was a Border Reiver, because he kept looking over his shoulder to see if any Scots were coming. All the dogs were barking like crazy and pulling him on the lead. And I said, so I'm looking for this place. It's very, very long, and it begins with B. And he went, aye. And I said, can you direct me there? And he went, aye. I said, it's getting late, and I need to, find my way there. And he went, aye. And I said, well, I thought he's not going to help me. And he says, what do you want to go there for, like? And I said, wait. Oh, I thought he's going to think I'm mad. I said, well, I want to take a photograph of the signpost. And for the first time in the whole conversation, he looked me directly in the face, and he said, well, takes all sorts. So anyway, he directed me to Blakeoak Burnoff. It went something like, you were round the corner and you were round the Wugged Walk. I can't do the accent, but it was like, all this, where the Wugged Wasco wan and all that kind of thing. Anyway, I thanked him very much, got in my car, and as I'm about to drive away, he walks away and he says, I don't think you'll find a signpost there. Anyway, he was wrong. There was a little, I think it was a Northumbrian, they killed the Forestry Commission signpost saying Blakeoak Burnoff. It's a few years ago, I don't know if they're still there. Anyway, I went and took a nice photograph of this little sign. I think it was in an oval shape, and it said Blakeoak Burnoff. Anyway, I just checked the map to see if there's anything interesting I could have a look at before I went home. And I noticed on the map there's a place called Cotton's Hope Burnfoot, which is actually half a mile from Blakeoak Burnoff. Now, again, not very well organised here, but Cotton's Hope Burnfoot, just there. Here we go. Cotton's Hope Burnfoot. Cotton's Hope Burnfoot. Did I say Cotton's Hope Burnoff? Cotton's Hope Burnfoot, anyway, it's got 19 letters. Well, apparently the Ordnance Survey won't accept that because they reckon it's 2 words. Cotton's Hope Burnfoot. So hope, the word hope, incidentally, which you get in Blakeoak Burnoff as well, it's a valley. It's usually a side valley, like Stanhope, in Weardale. It's not actually named from the weir itself. It's like from a side valley, the Stony Hope, Stony Up, the Stony Side Valley. That's so Stanhope. So Hope means side valley. Very commonplace name in northern County Durham and in Northumberland too. So Hope, lots of hope in the northeast. Cotton's Hope Burnfoot, it's got 19 letters. 19 letters. Well, the Cotton's Hope Burnfooters, they say, come on ye Cotton's Hope Burnfooters, we are the longest place name in England. Well, the Ordnance Survey won't have it because they say it's 2 words, Cotton's Hope Burnfoot. Come on ye Blakeoak Burnhoffers. Can you imagine the 2 villages getting to Wembley? Well, it's difficult for anyone in the northeast to imagine getting to Wembley, but you imagine these 2 places like fighting it out for the longest place name. Well, the Yorkshiremen are, of course, not to be outdone. Skinny Yorkshiremen, which is the longest place name in England, they will tell you it's Sutton under Whitestone Cliff. Sutton under Whitestone Cliff. Well, if there's one thing that the Cotton's Hope Burnfooters and the Blakeoak Burnhoffers agree on, and that is that the Sutton under Whitestone Cliffers haven't got a look in because, of course, they're hyphenated. You can't have a hyphen in the longest place name. So the Blakeoak Burnhoffers and the Cotton's Hope Burnfooters live to fight it out another day, but just in case things do get out of hand, you've always got the Welsh, if you want to extend the claim to Britain as a whole, because you've got that place name in Wales, which I am not going to attempt to pronounce because I like my words to have vowels where there should be vowels.
No disrespect to the Welsh. I love the Welsh, but there you go. Lake Port Burnhoff and Cotton's Hope Burnfoot. Now, oh yes, that Welsh place name. It's actually St Mary's Church in the hollow of the White Hazel near the rapid whirlpool of Llantysilio of the White Cave. Don't know why I can't translate Llantysilio. Anyway.
Right, that's enough of this dry and boring subject of place names. Let's move on to something a little bit more cheerful. Right, death.
Just to cheer you up, it's Bede's death poem. Now, Bede's death poem, as I say, cheerful stuff. It was written in Latin. Bede wrote all his great works in Latin. He was the first historian of England, of course, and much of our knowledge about this early period comes from Bede. But he wrote in Latin, and there was a... let me just find this here. Here's a translation here. There was a guy called Professor Earl, and he wrote this book called Anglo-Saxon Literature. He was involved with it, and basically he translated Bede's death poem into English, and the translation came out like this. Before the need journey, no one is ever more wise in thought than he ought to contemplate his going hence, what to his soul of good or evil after death day seemed will be. Very good. So that's the English translation of Bede's death poem. No idea what it's about, but there you go. Then Richard Oliver Heslop, who was, if you're into dialect, probably one of the big names. He wrote a book called Northumbrian Words in the 19th century, which was, a study of the Northumbrian dialect. And he also had a go at translating Bede's Latin death poem, but he translated it using Northumbrian words, and this was his result. Afore the need fair, yen is never mair wise in thought than he out. Think what he can, on his way gone, what of his guest, or good or ill maist, after his death day, doom then may say. A bit of fun that really, well, if you can call death fun, but it's an interesting little translation of the Latin poem by the Venerable Bede.
I'll read, that's enough. Or is it enough? Oh, I don't even know.